welcome to another video. My name's Claire and I will be teaching you how to make this beautiful cowl. Today's pattern is called the Natalie cowl, but it also can be used to make a scarf, a wrap, or even a blanket. It's all to do with the multiples when we start our first row, but don't worry, I will show you how to do that in the pattern. There is a free written pattern located on my website and I will put a link for you in the description box below. Please subscribe if you haven't already for future crochet tutorials and to stay up to date for what's going on. I would like to say a huge thank you to Yarnspirations for providing the yarn used in this project. I will be using Red Heart Ombre, but this project will work in any thickness of yarn. So let's get started on the lesson. For our supplies, we're going to need 2 cakes of this gorgeous yarn. This is Red Heart, an Italian Story Ombre. It's made in Italy and it's a 3.5 ounce, 100 grams, 249 yards or 228 meters. It's absolutely beautiful and the way it changes colours is so nice. This is an acrylic, wool and nylon blend, 47% acrylic, 47% wool and a 6% nylon. It's lovely and soft. It's beautiful. And it recommends, so it's a medium 4-weight yarn and it recommends a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. What I did was used an 8 millimeter or an L size crochet hook and it's given us a lovely drape. We're going to need 2 of these. And this is how much I have left of the second one. I used one and it is a little bit short for a scarf or a cowl. It's definitely too short for a cowl, but it's too short for a scarf. So the second one has made it obviously longer and a much better size for a cowl or a scarf. So you're going to need 2 of those and you're going to have some leftovers, but you can make it. If you're making a scarf, I'm making a cowl out of mine, but if you're making a scarf, you could just keep going and use up both of them and it'll look awesome. To demonstrate the first part of the project, I'm actually going to use some scrap yarn because I think the blue yarn, if you're just a beginner, it might throw you out because it's all different colours. Just some plain yarn to help you guys out. And we're also going to need a yarn needle. So I've got a DK yarn. This is an 8 ply here in Australia or a light worsted weight, which is number 3. And I'm going to be using a 4 millimeter. Just for the tutorial, I would use like I said, a 6 millimeter if I was going to make this for the cowl or the scarf. Just gives it a lovely drape because it's lovely and loose. So to start off with, each row starts and ends with an increase, so it's 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and this is what helps keep the sides straight. And there is also a written pattern for this one. I'm not sure if I mentioned that already, but there is a written pattern. We want to make a chain in multiples of 16 plus 2. So you could make a blanket with this pattern because you could just keep going and make it the size you want. I think it would look so pretty as a blanket. But we are going to make a scarf or a cowl for this project. So it's 16 plus 2, and what that means, we make 16 chains. And then we look at it and say, is it wide enough? No, it's not. So we go 16 chains again. And then we want to add 2 chains because this is how wide I'm just going to make this just for the sample. So if you want yours wider, I would suggest adding more chains in groups of 16. For my one that I used the ombre yarn, the Red Heart yarn, I did 34 chains. So I did 2 lots of 16 and then I added 2 more on the end. Now this is 32 chains, so I just need to add 2 more, but it's a lot smaller as you can see because it's thinner yarn, smaller crochet hook. And with the bigger crochet hook and thicker yarn, it gives you a bigger project. So I need to add 2 to the end. So groups of 16, I've done 2 of those, and then I'm going to do 2 chains on the end. We're going to double crochet into the third chain. So 1, 2, 3. Double crochet, so that's yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and pull through 2. I'm going to assume that you know how to do a double crochet already. If not, just brush up on your double crochet before we start this project. 1 double crochet into the next 5 chains. So let's do that now. That's the 4th one, and this is the 5th one. If you're making a blanket, I would suggest maybe using the crochet hook that's recommended for your yarn if you want it lovely and warm, because as you can see, this is a DK yarn and that recommends a 4mm, and it's giving you a nice firm fabric. But if you're making a scarf or a cowl, it's not going to give you much drape, so you can see there it stands up by itself. So it was in the next 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to decrease over the next 2 stitches, and we want to work this twice. So into the next 2 stitches, you're going to yarn over, go into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And to work a double crochet, you would yarn over and go through 2 loops, but we're not. We're going to stop because it's a decrease. We're going to keep the 2 loops on our crochet hook. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And now we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. We want to do this twice, so that was our first time. So yarn over, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Keep the 2 loops on our crochet hook. We're going to yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. We've got 3 loops, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's 2 lots of decrease. We're going to double crochet into the next 5 chains. So let's do that now. Just double check, make sure that's 5. So you can see here it's like a bigger blob. It's got 2 stitches into 1, so that's the decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to double crochet increase into the next 2 chains. So in the next one we're going to work 2 double crochet. That's 1 increase. And that's the second one. So what we're doing is we're creating the valley, which is where it is a decrease, which is here. You'll see it'll start to form like a V shape. Not really much on this row, but then the increases are the tops, I guess the top of the mountain. Is that what they say? I can't remember now. So it's like the valleys and the mountains. Or 1 double crochet into the next 5 chains. I just said we want to create 5 chains. We don't. We need to do 5 double crochets. Okay, so there's our increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the repeat all the way across. So we've done our increasing, so next is our decreasing. So it's yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, keep the 2 loops on our crochet hook, yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through all 3. That's our first decrease, and we want to work another one. So yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over. No, we don't. we do yarn over. I was about to go through those 2 stitches. Go into the next chain. I'm leading you down the garden path here. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 3. What we want to do now is 1 double crochet into the next 5 chains. And remember what I said about we have to work a increase at the beginning and the end? Well, that's what we're about to do now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Why am I 1 chain short? Apparently I'm 1 chain short. So we want to do a double crochet in the next 5 chains. So we've done that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm out of chains, but I'm going to show you a cheat because I am not ripping that out and starting again. Because that's not how I roll. So this is our very first, yes it is, it's the very first chain that we did, but it's the last chain that we're working into. So we're going to put our crochet hook into there. Luckily I've got a bit of a tail left over here, so I'm going to pull through. I'm going to yarn over and pull through, whoops, to create our chain. Hang on, it's getting loose. What's going on? Nothing's going on. Okay, so into the end, pull up a loop, yarn over, create our chain. That's our extra chain that we need, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through, and that creates the slip knot on the end. Just pull that, and we now have an extra chain. Why is my voice going croaky? I need a drink of water. So I've got this extra chain. It's a little bit weird, but it will work for what we need it to do. So we're going to go in there, and then this is where I add my increase. So I want to do 2 double crochet into the end. And that's what mine looks like. And it doesn't look like much of a chevron-y pattern, does it? Let's see if I can get it to say, there we go. It'll sit like that and then come back down, and then that'll curve up. Promise, it does do that. So that's the end of row 1 with missing chain and all. Next we're going to do row 2, and row 2 is where it starts to look pretty. We're going to chain 3, so we're going to turn our work and chain 3 and double crochet in the same stitch. I keep going out of camera, I'm out of practice. There we go. So we've got our increase at the beginning, because remember how I said beginning and end, got to have an increase. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, and we're going to do that twice. So it's chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet in the next. So we've already worked that stitch, so skip that and double crochet in there, and we're going to do that twice. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. So I've got chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in there. So I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, and then I'm going to work a decrease into the next 2 stitches. So yarn over, so we've chain 1 there, we're going to skip 1 there, so skip 1 and then double crochet decrease. So in the next stitch as well. And we're going to do that twice, so we're going to yarn over and work another decrease. And we're going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, so that's skip that one, double crochet in the next, and we're going to do that twice. So chain 1, skip 1, so skip 1 and double crochet in there. Then we're going to chain 1, skip 1 and do an increase into the next. Now I'll give you a little tip. See how here you can see that these are the 2 increases that we did on the row below. When we work the next row of increases, which is what we're doing now, our 2 increases are going to come out of the top of the 2 middle stitches of the 2 increases below. Hoping that makes sense. So looking at let me just take this out. Looking at these 4 stitches, they are 2 increases. You can see that these 2 stitches, these 2 stitches here, 1 and 2, are coming out of that 1 chain down the bottom. Can you see that? So that's the first increase, and then that is the second increase. So the middle 2 stitches, which is this one and this one, the increase of the next row, which is what we're about to do now, goes into this one. So 2 double crochet in there and 2 double crochet in there. And all the way through the project, they're going to stack on top of each other like that. So that's just a little tip. There's also a little tip for the decreases as well. So I'll show you that one too. So we've done our chain 1, we're going to skip 1, and that brings us to the middle. I know it doesn't look like it in all that mess there, but it's the middle 2 stitches of the 4 below. So we're going to go 2 double crochet and then 2 double crochet in the next one. And I'm telling you this because if it's not there, so when you come along and you're not lining up with those 2 middle of the 4 stitches below, you know somewhere here you've done a mistake. And also with the decreases, so I can show you these as well. I'll show you how to do them in a second, but if you come down here, that 2 stitches there and these 2 stitches there are the 2 decreases from the row below. So not this row, the first row. And then our next decreases are stacking up on top. So I'll show you how we do that when we get to it in a second. So it's chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. We're going to do that twice. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, and then we're going to work our double crochet decreases. The second part of the decrease on the first one will be into the top of the first decrease below. That's that stitch there. So we're going to come along, we've got to skip 1 down to below and then work a double crochet decrease. So this is the first part, so work that bit. The second part ends up working into the decrease below. I'm hoping this is not confusing you. I'm just trying to help you so that if you go off track you'll know where you've done it. So that's the decrease. We're coming along, we've got the decrease, so this is the second decrease of the row below, and it will line up. So the first part of this next decrease, so it's this, on the first one it's the second part lines up with it, and then on the next one it's the first part that lines up with the next decrease. So go in there, work your first part, and then the second part will just come on top of the next double crochet. And then do that. And then we do chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, chain 1, skip 1, and 2 double crochet in the last stitch. So skip 1 in there, work 2 double crochets. Okay, so we're going to do it again, and that's a repeat for this row. This one we just done, which is the eyelet row, and then the solid row, which is just all double crochets. So chain 3. You could chain 2 if you like. Do I have chain 2 in the pattern? No, I haven't chained 3. But you can do chain 2, standing double crochet, whatever floats your boat. And we're going to double crochet in the same one for our first increase. So looking down here, we are going to double crochet in the next 5 stitches, and our chain spaces are counted as stitches, just to keep it simple. So this hole, and this hole is counted as a stitch. It was easier to write the pattern, and it's easier for me to tell you what to do. So this double crochet here, the second one of the row below, is actually our first stitch. So double crochet in there. So 1, our second one goes in the space, 2, the next one goes in the top of the double crochet for 3, next one goes in the space for 4, and the next one goes in the space for 5. We're going to decrease over the next 2 stitches, and we're going to do that twice. And the first part of the first double crochet decrease starts in the chain space, and the second half of the second double crochet decrease ends in a chain space. Okay, let's show you what that means. So we're going to yarn over. Our first part of our decrease is going to be in our chain space. So go in there, work your first part, yarn over, and go into the next stitch, which is the decrease from the row below. And we're going to work our decrease. We're going to work another decrease, and the first part will go into the decrease from the row below, and the next part will go in the chain space. So go in the chain space, and you can hopefully see that the decreases will stack on top of each other as well. So now we want to do 1 double crochet into the next 5 stitches. So our first stitch goes into that double crochet there. So 1 into the chain space for 2, top of the double crochet for 3, chain space for 4, and then the 5th double crochet goes into the first stitch of the increase below. We don't really need to remember that part about that little stitch there. It's the next bit you remember. So looking at our looking at our increases from the row below, you can see we've got our 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 2 middle ones are there, and you can see that my increases now go in the next 2 stitches, and they are lining up with those 2 stitches. So I know I haven't stuffed up in that little section just here. That's all it'll be wrong is there, maybe on your decreases, but it shouldn't go any further back than that, because you would have been checking to make sure they're stacking on top of each other. So it's 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, so I've done that there for our increasing. So we wanted to work 1 double crochet excuse me, in the next 5 stitches. So the first one goes in the double crochet, and that's the second stitch of that second increase. So 1 in the chain space for 2, 1 in the double crochet for 3, 1 in the chain space for 4, and 1 in the double crochet for 5. And again, our first part of our decrease, so you can see our decrease is below here, the first part of our decrease goes in that chain space, and then the second half of our second decrease goes in that chain space there. So I'll show you what that means. So go into the chain space for the first part of our decrease, and then on the next one it'll line up with the first decrease. The next one is going to line up with the second decrease, so finish that one off, go into there for the first part. Now second part we finish off in that chain space. I'm hoping I'm not confusing you. You can completely ignore what I'm saying and just do what I'm doing. Okay, so we need 1 double crochet in the next 5 stitches. So our first stitch goes into that decrease, it's not a decrease, it's a double crochet. We're going to do 1 in there, second one goes in the chain space, third one goes into the top of the double crochet, fourth one goes in the chain space, fifth one goes in the double crochet, which is the first part of the increase here. And then the increase we need to do goes in that last, top of the last stitch, which is actually a chain 3 or whatever you did from the row below. So we want to work an increase because we want to end our row with an increase. Okay, so that's our pattern repeat, the last two rows. And you can see that the lace, I actually like that, that looks so cool. Pretty. Might have to make another one. So our next part is our lace section, and I'm not going to show you again because we've already done it, but what I am going to do is put a timestamp on the screen so that you can rewind the video. If you're using the written pattern, it's all there. It shows you how to repeat it. If you're making a scarf, we're going to finish on row 3, which is this solid row here, because we've done 1, 2, and 3. We're going to finish on that solid part. If that's what you're doing, if you're making a scarf. If you're going to make a cowl, which I'm going to show you how to do, the scarf you're just going to finish off like normal. But if you're going to work a cowl, we want to finish on row 2, which is our lace section. Let me just double check that. Yes, it is. Row 2 is our lace section. We're going to finish off with that, and then I'll show you how to join it. And when we join it, we are going to join it with our solid row, which is row 3. Continue on until you have as many rows as you like. Look at those colours. It's coming quite bright on my screen. It's actually a darker blue. This is like a green. It's a greeny blue. That's a bit of an aqua blue. And we've got darker ones in there. So I'm just going to count how many rows I've done because I have absolutely no idea. See how the edges are straight, and that's where we've done our increases on the ends. It doesn't make sense, does it? Like if you increase, it should get bigger on the end. Because we've done our decreases, it keeps it all in check and keeps it straight. So give me a sec, I'm going to count how many rows I've done. I have done 66 rows on my cowl. For me, that wraps around twice and is a comfortable length. So you can wrap it around your neck. Of course, it's not going to be joined yet, but you can wrap it around your neck and get an idea of how big it's going to be. If you don't want it to wrap twice, then you don't need to do as many rows. You can just do as many as you want. But I would suggest 66 rows if you're using this yarn. If you're using a different yarn, I'm actually going to measure it too. Give me a second, I'll do that. But I'm going to measure it, so if you are using a different yarn, then you know how long mine is. And this is before blocking, so I have not blocked this. Huge fan of this yarn too, it was lovely to work up. So unblocked, this is 130 centimeters or 52-ish inches. And width wise it is 22 centimeters or 9 inches across, and that's unblocked. And blocking will make it bigger, so it'll be lovely. You don't need to block this if you don't want to, but I am going to, just to show you how much this stitch pattern opens. So complete your rows. Like I said, if you're making a scarf, I still have all that left, and I don't wear scarves. I wear more cowls or shawls, so that's why I'm making a cowl. But if you're making a scarf, you could just keep going and use up every last piece of this beautiful yarn. I don't know if that's showing up properly. It's coming up a lot brighter. It's more of a muted blues and green. Like there's green, there's blue. It's very, very pretty. So I will see you when we are ready to join it if we are making a cowl, or just to finish off if you're making a scarf. This would look really cool with tassels too if you wanted to make tassels. So pause the video and I'll see you then. I have done 68 rows on this, and I finished on row 2, which is when we do the lacy section. So we have like the chain 1, skip 1 section. And if you're making a scarf, you want to finish on the solid section, so the double crochet section, which is row 3. When we get to the ends, we want to finish off, and we're just going to yarn over and pull through. And I like to do that twice. Now, if you're making the scarf, you would have finished on a solid row, which is the double crochet rows here, but I'm making the cowl, so I finished on my chain 1, skip 1, etc. row. And if you're making the scarf, you want to just cut it off with a couple of inches so that you can just sew in your ends, but I'm making the cowl and I want to cut it off twice the length that my cowl is across. So just lay it along and then snip your yarn. And then we're just going to pull that through. We're going to sew this closed, and it's not my preferred method. I like to crochet it closed, but I wanted to keep this a simple project, and that adds another element of difficulty, so we're not going to do that. If you know how to single crochet, if you know how to crochet it closed, then you are most welcome to go for it. Somebody has eaten my needle. Seriously, it was, I just used it. Aha, it was hiding. So we're going to thread our yarn and figure out where the end is, and also the other end. If you want to twist your cowl, now is the time to do that. It will be permanent, you won't be able to get it untwisted, but it does add another feature to your cowl. So I've got both ends together. You'll notice that when they lay down, they don't match up, and at first I freaked out. I thought, oh no, what have I done wrong? It's because, don't worry, it works, because once we fold that over and pop that in there, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and it works. See how it works now? I don't know, it's like magic. So we're going to grab our ends. I've got the one we've just finished at the front, and the other end, which is the beginning of our cowl, at the back. We want to find the very first stitch that we did, so that's on the end here. We're going to hold these together. There's that first stitch. We're going to put our yarn needle through there, just for that first one, so we can hold them together. And as we go along, we are going to just line the stitches up. So sew through one stitch, go to the next one, go to the next one on the back, sew it together. Go to, so we've got a skipped one here. We're going, that's a chain 1 space. So we're going to go to that one, find the next one. Because I'm out of practice, I haven't filmed obviously for a year. I keep going out of the screen. I apologise for that. Because I look away from my screen that I'm filming on, and then next minute, before you know it, I'm not in the screen anymore. So we're just going to repeat this all the way across. Don't pull too tight on this yarn that you're sewing it up with, because it'll make it gather together and it'll look a bit weird. Unless, of course, that's the look you're going for. If you want it nice and flat, don't pull too tight. Alright, so it should be pretty seamless. There we go. Looks really good. Do this all the way across, and I'll meet you when we're at the other end. When we get to the end, I have the yarn tail. This is the beginning yarn tail. I don't know if you do. You should have, I guess. But we can just tie that in a knot. That yarn needle is annoying me, hitting the bench. Oops, don't pull that too tight. I don't normally tie knots in yarn, but let's do it today. So we're just going to sew in our ends. I'm going to do this on the back. Now you can just see my yarn here because it's a different colour because of all the colour changes in the yarn, but I think once you're wearing it, because it is so colourful, it's probably not going to notice. And if it does and it bugs you, put it to the back. Put it to the back of your neck and you won't see it. So what yarn are you using for this project? I would love to know. Also colours, all the details. What are you creating? If you haven't joined our Facebook group, then please come and join us. It's so much fun. I will put a link for you in the description box, or search for Bob Wilson Crochet Group on Facebook. We also have Instagram, which I'm pretty... I use Instagram quite a bit. I do enjoy Instagram. So follow me over there if you want to. There we go. It's so pretty. I wish you could have feel of vision. It is so squishy. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. Give it a thumbs up if you did. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy crochet.